Nickelodeon has been a beloved channel for audiences of all ages for decades. From the early 90s Nicktoons to the present day, it has shaped childhoods and provided countless hours of entertainment. However, not every era of Nickelodeon has been golden. Today we're going to dive into what many consider the worst era of Nickelodeon, exploring its rise and fall throughout the decades, and highlighting some of the channel's less successful shows. Nickelodeon has been a staple of children's entertainment, beloved by all ages since it released its first Nicktoons in the early 90s. The 90s are often revered as the golden age of Nick, so let's start there. In the early 90s, Nickelodeon introduced Doug, Rugrats, and The Ren and Stimpy Show. These three became the first Nicktoons and proved to be very popular, setting Nickelodeon on a cartoon-oriented path. Following these hits, we got Rocko's Modern Life, Cat Dog, Hey Arnold, and The Wild Thornberrys, all of which were unique and memorable, cementing the 90s as the golden era of Nickelodeon. But that doesn't mean this era is free from any bad cartoon. In the late 90s, we have the Brothers Flub. The show aired from 1999 to 2000 and managed just one season with 21 episodes. It followed alien brothers Fraz and Guapo as they bungled their way through intergalactic courier jobs. But the repetitive plot lines and simplistic humor didn't do the show any favors. Audiences found the animation subpar and the characters forgettable. The Brothers Flub failed to stand out in a sea of more engaging Nickelodeon content at that time. Enter the 2000s, an era dominated by SpongeBob SquarePants, Nickelodeon's undisputed cash cow. While SpongeBob enjoyed immense popularity, other shows from this period, such as The Fairly Odd Parents, Jimmy Neutron, and Danny Phantom, were also noteworthy successes. The first half of the 2000s felt like a sequel to the 90s with unique concepts and enjoyable adventures. However, the latter half of the decade showed a decline, with many shows failing to receive the promotion and support they needed to thrive. But alas, other than SpongeBob, another one of the most influential and popular shows of the 2000s was Avatar: The Last Airbender, renowned for its intricate world-building, deeply developed characters, and compelling storytelling. The show features significant character growth. It creates a rich, immersive setting and has left a lasting legacy, inspiring spin-offs, graphic novels, and a dedicated fan base. Hang on. Before we dive into Nickelodeon's most cringe-worthy era, how about you take a second and make sure that you're subscribed? Seriously, go ahead. I'll give you a few seconds. All set? Awesome. Now that you're officially in the Toonscope fam, let's jump back into the fun. As the 2000s drew to a close, the decline became more apparent. Shows like Tak and the Power of Juju and Back at the Barnyard were overshadowed by the more successful SpongeBob and the Fairly Odd Parents. The release of Fanboy and Chum Chum marked a turning point, introducing humor that relied heavily on crude jokes. This trend set the stage for the worst era of Nickelodeon. There were also a few shows like The X's, which went on from 2005 to 2006. It tried to blend spy antics with family sitcom dynamics. While the concept had potential, the execution left much to be desired. The show's writing and pacing issues prevented it from becoming an engaging and memorable series. The humor often fell flat and the action sequences lacked excitement, making it difficult for viewers to connect with the show. Another not-so-memorable mention is El Tigre, The Adventures of Manny Rivera. Despite its vibrant animation and unique cultural setting, it struggled with inconsistent storytelling and character development. The show's attempt to balance action, humor, and moral lessons often felt disjointed, making it hard for viewers to stay engaged. While it had a strong initial fan base, the show couldn't maintain its momentum. Nickelodeon decided not to renew El Tigre after its first season, citing low ratings and a lukewarm reception from its audience. The 2010s are often considered the worst era of Nickelodeon. The first new Nicktoon of the decade, Planet Sheen, was an unnecessary spin-off of Jimmy Neutron. It fell flat with the audiences. This was followed by Tough Puppy, which lacked the soul of its predecessors. Sanjay and Craig took crude humor to new lows, and Breadwinners further exacerbated this trend, with nonsensical and over-exaggerated humor. Despite some bright spots like The Legend of Korra and the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the overall quality of Nicktoons suffered greatly during this period. Another significant issue in the 2010s was the oversaturation of live-action shows. Nickelodeon premiered 29 live-action shows during this decade, contributing to a watered-down overall quality. While some shows had their merits, the sheer volume and focus on live-action content really took away the resources and attention from animated programming. Even SpongeBob, the channel's golden child, wasn't immune to the decline. Many of the show's worst episodes, like A Pail for Gary and One Course Meal, aired during this time and tarnished its legacy. The decline in quality of SpongeBob was indicative of the larger issues plaguing Nickelodeon during this era. And now moving on to the current decade, 2020. In the past 2 or 3 years, Nickelodeon has launched several hit shows, some animated and some live action. We're talking about Camp Coral, because you can't go wrong with SpongeBob, the Loud House spin-off series called Casagrandes, and live-action teen comedies like Warped. These new shows have resonated with audiences and helped drive viewership. Nickelodeon has also found success by reviving popular classics, like the Rugrats reboot and the iCarly revival series. Tapping into nostalgic brand recognition has allowed Nickelodeon to reach both new and older audiences. They have also made a concerted effort to grow its streaming footprint, with content now available on Paramount Plus and the Nickelodeon app. This expanded digital distribution has made Nickelodeon programming more accessible to viewers. The network has also ramped up its marketing efforts, using social media, crossovers, and high-profile events to drive awareness and viewership for its new and returning shows. This, my friends, has helped Nickelodeon stand out in the increasingly crowded kids and family entertainment space. One of the most striking differences between Nickelodeon's golden era and its later years is the powerful nostalgia that older fans continue to feel for the network's early content. Shows like Rugrats, Hey Arnold, and The Wild Thornberrys left a mark on its viewers. They weren't just cartoons, they were part of our childhoods, filled with memorable characters and imaginative worlds that stick with us even as adults. It's no wonder that these shows are still celebrated and rewatched today. But what is it that makes these early Nicktoons so timeless? For one, the storytelling was often deeper than it seemed at first glance. Hey Arnold, for example, tackled complex issues like poverty, broken families, and urban life, all while maintaining a lighthearted and approachable tone. There were many layers to that show that I never noticed until I was watching it as an adult. And the same goes for Rugrats. It wasn't just about babies on adventures, it subtly dealt with themes of family, friendship, and growing up in ways that resonated with kids and parents. Compare that to Nickelodeon's later, less successful years. The network's shift towards crude humor and exaggerated antics alienated a lot of its older audience. The newer content simply didn't have the same heart. The 2010s just lacked the strong, relatable characters and meaningful stories that made earlier Nicktoons so special. Instead of feeling timeless, many of those shows felt disposable or quickly forgotten after a season or two. This gap in quality really explains why fans who grew up watching Nick in the 90s still hold those shows in such high regard today. The nostalgia is powerful, not just because those shows were part of our childhood, but because they were genuinely well-crafted pieces of art. The fact that those early Nicktoons continue to be celebrated while many of the later ones have faded into obscurity really speaks volumes about the lasting impact of those shows. And while Nickelodeon has given us many beloved shows over the years, not every era has been a hit. The 2010s in particular stand out as a low point in the channel's history due to a series of poorly received shows that failed to capture the magic of the network's earlier hits. The network's missteps during this era led to a significant dip in quality and popularity. And this is just what I think, so leave a comment. Let's talk. Let's reminisce. Tell me what you like. Tell me what I got wrong. Tell me what I forgot. And remember, if you don't have any pets, you're probably an NPC. But either way, don't forget to subscribe.